creation of a new Dodge truck begins right here at this strange machine. Nothing spectacular, you say? Ah, but watch. A tiny man pops up from the deep shadows beside this colossus, and with a flick of his finger, 2,600 tons of giant machinery go into action. For this is the biggest all-welded mechanical press in the world. Here's where the massive Dodge truck frame side rails are pressed from ponderous slabs of solid steel in one titanic motion that takes but 17 seconds to complete. Brawny workers, dwarfed by the mighty mechanism they control so easily, remove the finished channel section rails and lay them aside, ready to be assembled into the rigid Dodge truck frame, a sturdy foundation of tough, fine-textured, special high-carbon steel. Meanwhile, in a great spring fabricating plant, the famous Dodge Amola steel springs are being heat-treated in these huge furnaces. Here, each leaf is hardened at a controlled temperature of approximately 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit. Then, at the all-important critical point, each leaf is removed from the blazing inferno and placed upon a slowly revolving rack that forms it and plunges it into the quenching oil bath, where its shape and granite-like hardness are preserved for all time. And then, once more, it is thrust into a seething inferno of 850 degrees, this time for that extra Dodge pliability and resiliency that only Amola steel can give. Meanwhile, in another great shop, the amazingly strong Dodge truck rear axle housing is being made from a single solid piece of heavy gauge steel. Here is one of the most ingenious operations in the entire industry. Holes are punched in the center of the tube, into which this huge machine inserts a specially formed die that spreads the metal into the first rough contours of the banjo-type differential housing. And again, the white-hot metal is formed, this time into its final banjo shape, by powerful dies inserted into the roughly molded center and spread irresistibly apart to make the sturdy one-piece housing. Then this press swatches the ends of the tube to provide a structure having its greatest wall thickness at the points of greatest load. The result is an integral steel one-piece axle housing with the sections controlled at every point so that the fibers of the material are uniformly loaded and stressed. Then after all major operations are completed, and not before, the completed housing is thoroughly heat-treated. Heat treating is held until the last, so that the final perfect temper of the metal is unchanged by further manufacturing operations. And to produce this temper, each housing is first rigidly mounted in a massive fixture that holds it firmly in position to prevent warping. Then jets of water are allowed to flow over the seething metal until it is completely submerged, thus permanently setting the temper that guarantees a lifetime of trouble-free miles to the owner. And while axle housings are being built, in still another great manufacturing operation, highly specialized Dodge craftsmen are building the rugged Dodge truck engines. As with every other Dodge truck manufacturing operation, beneath the seeming hurry and bustle and confusion is that same split-second precision and rigid control. For example, in this giant machine, Dodge cylinder walls are honed to a glossy silken finish that defies wear and definitely lengthens engine life. As a matter of fact, beneath the rough, rugged exterior are many glass-like surfaces like this, machined to hair-breadth tolerances. Inside these gleaming cylinder bores, a skilled workman checks each piston clearance with his feeler gauge that permits a tolerance of only 2/1000ths of an inch. And characteristic of Dodge microscopic accuracy, every set of 6 pistons is also carefully weighed and matched by these delicate scales. There's not more than 1/4 of an ounce difference between all 6 pistons. In addition, each set of 6 connecting rods, pins, and bearings is also weighed and balanced with the same precision accuracy. Next, the special aluminum alloy 4-ring pistons are inserted. Notice that there are 2 compression rings and 2 oil control rings, a total of 4 rings instead of only 3 for each piston, which means extra savings in gas and oil. Again, notice that beneath the rugged exterior, the glassy, gem-like surface of these steel-backed replaceable bearings further illustrates that hidden value inherent in every Dodge truck engine. All completed engines are carefully run in for 2 hours while final valve and tappet adjustments are made. And finally, the searching dynamometer test gives skilled mechanics opportunity to check and recheck every detail of manufacture. Each engine must live up to the high Dodge standard of power, economy, and brilliant performance. These tremendous presses, whose great weight must be mounted on piling extending far into the earth below, deliver the titanic pressure necessary to form the massive one-piece panels of the Dodge safety steel bodies in a single stroke. And while each piece is being formed, other huge presses are stamping out the heavy-gauge streamlined fenders. Notice how easily this mighty machine presses the graceful molded contours from a single sheet of flat, uninteresting steel. And finally, the finished safety steel bodies and cabs, strongly reinforced with steel welded to steel, are ready to be completely rust-proof and painted. For remember, only Dodge trucks have cabs and bodies that are completely rust-proof. And finally, the body is completed. The finishing touches are put on, an inspector makes a minute examination of every detail and puts on his stamp of OK. There it goes. Another glistening Dodge truck body takes its place beside a variety of others, ready for the most exciting thing of all, final assembly. It all starts right here on the two great 1,000-foot lines, this one for the 1/2, 3/4, and 1-ton models, and this one for the big 1.5, 2, and 3-ton fellows. There goes one of the massive frames we saw being built a few minutes ago, while at exactly the right spot further down the line, brake drums and linings are being thoroughly run in, an extra touch that guarantees perfect brake operation from the very first moment the truck is used. At still other points down the line, the rugged Dodge rear axle is getting its third member and its Amola steel axle shafts. A complete assortment of Amola steel springs is waiting. Perfectly balanced Dodge steel wheels are getting their tires. And the beautiful shining new Dodge bodies and cabs stand ready. The stage is set. The complex mechanism of the greatest truck plant in the world is ready for the birth of another unit. Meanwhile, down the line, the proper axles appear as though by magic, all assembled and ready to meet the frame when it arrives. And here it is. Just a few deft motions by these skilled artisans, and the axle goes into place. And all still further down the line, the right-sized engine comes swinging out from the engine bank. The big frame is turned right side up to receive it. And in it goes with a minimum of effort and a maximum of that Dodge efficiency. And now for the chassis painting, where every portion of axle, springs, and frame is sprayed with the same exacting care as the bodies. While up ahead, more miles of conveyors bring other perfectly matched parts from all corners of the great plant. Wheels and tires, bumpers, graceful fenders, hoods, radiator grill assembly, all painted and selected to fit the proper truck coming down the line. And here's the chassis, all freshly painted. And at exactly the right second, the wheels arrive and are put on. And down comes the graceful radiator and grill. Notice how perfectly it fits. That's because all such parts are made on master fixtures that eliminate forcing or distortion in assembly. And look over there. It's a red panel body ordered for a 1-ton job, and right on time, just like everything else, complete in every detail. Skilled hands lower it carefully onto the waiting chassis. And now look over on the other side. It's the cab for the big Dodge stake truck, arriving with the same split-second timing. Everything is made fast beneath the chassis. Skilled hands complete the stake body on the husky 1.5-ton chassis. Notice that it, too, fits like the proverbial glove. No wrenching or bending to get perfect alignment. Meanwhile, others connect the various wires and controls. Mounting the bumper on extended side rails provides another cross member plus added protection for the front end. And there it stands, ready to move for the first time under its own power. Not a detail missed anywhere. And there it goes. On down to the final test on those roads where skilled inspectors check every function. Look at those wheels spin, fast enough so that everything can be accurately checked. Speedometers, generators, transmission, and on the larger models, the governors are set. The final inspection tag is granted, and away it goes, just exactly as specified by some buyer, hundreds of miles away, to take its place beside thousands of other new Dodge trucks, waiting for shipment to all corners of the globe. each with those outstanding Dodge features, made possible by the giant manufacturing facilities we have seen. Every one a product of that amazing progress in engineering that has made the new Dodge truck plant the wonder of the automotive world.